So we were talking about the importance of understanding the harpoon sweep. So there's a systematic approach to this, depending on how savvy or how your opponent reacts to the initial sweep. So the first thing we'll just talk about the harpoon sweep. Now, again, if my arm's on this side, when I bridge and I feel that resistance here, okay, and I want to circle my arm, never circle your wrist in front of the head. Don't circle like this, because if this wrist touches his forehead, he's going to start to isolate my arm because I exposed the lever to him. When I bring the arm around, I circle my elbow. So even if he pushes with his head, I should be able to manipulate my arm around because I'm using the stronger part of my arm. Now, when I pinch his head, I'm using my elbow on the top of his neck and spine. So my elbow actually rotates in, and I want to pinch his head close to my body. If he has a gi, you could find the belt here, but your target is to just keep your hand down the guy's spine. My other hand is going to go in at the crook of his elbow with a false grip. And what I want to do here is I want to take this elbow and I swing it inside, and it goes under to his opposite side hip. And to finish the sweep, I'm walking my legs north-south, and I start to bridge, and I throw my leg up and over, and I want to hitchhike to the top side position. And then from here, I can start to go on the counterattack. Now, sometimes, you know, as you do this sweep and you start to progress with it, guys are going to be more weary, and they're going to give you different reactions of how they stop the sweep. A really common one is when he feels me gripping up, he sprawls his hip. Okay? Now put your right knee back up. So if he sprawls and his right knee is at a bend, see how I can feel him sloping down here? I'm going to use my legs to fish my knee in at his hip first. I don't start down low. I come in at the hip, and I'm gonna hook, just like I'm recovering half guard or full guard from the curriculum. I'm gonna drag. If you need leverage, drag lower on the leg, and from here I'm just gonna bring him back into my guard, okay? Or your half guard. Now sometimes the guy sprawls straight back, right? And what I wanna do is when I walk my hips in, I'm looking to fish for that back leg. And I'm using this leg here to bridge up, and as I bridge up, I'm trapping this elbow. And the direction I'm gonna go in is not horizontal or down towards his feet. I'm actually gonna bridge up this way where he has no base for his shoulder. I pummel my legs behind, and I'm gonna come up to the top position here. So again, I have a partner who sprawls, boom. I turn my legs and I catch his leg. I'm gonna hold the arm. I use my leg to bridge up into him, and I bring his weight towards his elbow. Pummel your feet and come up to the top side. Now, so we have the guy who sprawls, and we know that once he sprawls, I'm fishing for half guard, or I'm bridging back towards him. I mean, I'm hooking his legs and bridging back towards him. My main focus is that I just need to keep this arm trapped. And if you encounter something like this, where he sprawls and you hook, and you're really holding onto this arm, and you're trying to bridge him over, right? And he pulls that arm out and posts, that brings us right back to the first part of what we talked about. Because anytime he relinquishes his grip, he gives me space to do the pummeling that we talked about initially, which should always be like your first objective, is to get into a better position than your opponent. Now, sometimes we have a partner, and he's rolled with me a lot, and he's not too keen on putting his arm deep under my neck, okay? So I get these partners that just stick their wrist under. If he sticks his whole arm under, this is where I'm going to harpoon sweep. If he just puts his wrist under, I'm not going to try the harpoon sweep here. But what I can do is fake it. So I'm going to grab, act like I want a harpoon sweep, and what I'm doing is I'm going to give a little bridge towards him for resistance, okay? And once he resists, I bring my hand inside, and I'm walking as I frame his face out. So again, I give a little bridge, I bring my hand inside, and I walk away. When I walk, it elongates my arm. And I'm going to reach as I bridge off my foot and just put his shoulder down to the mat. And once I come up here, bring your hips across the body, and I can go right into a scarf hold, or I can step back over. Be careful when you come up from this reversal, because he can darce you from the bottom. So if I'm here and I'm faking it and I start to bridge and I open up and I come up and I get lazy and he brings this arm around, he's going to put me right into a darce choke. Okay? So I have to be cognizant the whole time of the potential there. When I frame, boom, I push, I walk, I bridge here. I'm going to bring my hips right over the top so I land in this scarf hold position. Or if I stay on this side, I'm going to immediately bring my head up and start trapping his wrist here. So I can start to attack the arm with a straight arm lock, or I'll put it under my leg and just check it so the guy can't shoot right into a darce. As long as it's on your radar, you should be fine. Okay, so we'll talk about the last defense, I feel. And the guy has really good pressure, okay, boom. And he's piking up, yeah. So his hips are high. Now, because of the height of his hips and width of his legs, step wide. Up here, yeah. When I try to sweep him, push off your left leg, he's stopping my ability to hit the harpoon sweep here, okay? So I have to, in a sense, respect that potential. Now, there's two perspectives. Because his knees are off the floor, like that. Because his knees are off the floor, sometimes I can block the hip and bring this leg under and use it to shovel his leg into a half guard. I can step on the heel here, feed it, and now I'm starting to bring him across my body, and I'm going to start to counterattack or back take. So again, I feel a partner with tight hips. This is a ton of pressure here. You guys are going to feel the worst here. Remember, I'm using my elbows to help me manage the weight. I bring my hips in. Swing your hips in and scoop. I'm going to bring him down to the mat, put my foot on his heel. You can hold half guard here too, or recover guard. You just want something extra, put your foot on their heel, hook underneath, and I use my hook to push him across my body, and my hand grabs his pants, or you can grab the thigh, and I'm just going to set him inside. Hand to the hip, strip back, leg over, and then I'm going to take his back or attack that arm from the back. If I'm here and I'm bridging, or he's piking, okay, and I go for the harpoon sweep and he hits the brace on me, walk under a bit and change the angle forward. It seems subtle. This is the last piece, the last question I pretty much had in regards to the harpoon sweep. Last camp we were in Brazil, I think it was the last question I asked. You know, Professor, all the other sweeps work for me, but I encounter guys who have a wide base and they hike up, and when you try to sweep them, it feels like you want to give up because they have so much pressure and so much base. Of course, this answer was simple. It's just change the angle of your direction of force. If I'm driving horizontal and this guy's basing out, he's shutting down the exact direction I'm pushing in. So I change the angle inward and I redirect his shoulder to the ground. So kind of find like a way to force the guy to do a forward roll is essentially what the answer boils down to.
So right now, if I want him to do a forward roll, he rolls over his shoulder. So if he puts his left foot up and I try to roll him to his shoulder, I'm pushing him towards his foot. If I walk my legs in a bit and then I bridge him forward, I change the direction of force away from the foot, and I'm going to get that harpoon sweep even on an opponent who's high up and piked with the hips.
If we have a partner who's rolled with you quite a bit and he's weary of sticking his arm too deep, and I feel that he's like wrist deep here, okay? What I want to do is I'm going to set up the harpoon sweep in a similar way. I want to start to bridge towards him to fake the sweep, and I bring my hand down and I lock the base of my hand against his cheekbone, or not his cheekbone, his jawbone. And I want to walk my legs out, which straightens his arm out because his head can't follow my hip movement. And from here, I'm going to bridge this shoulder straight to the floor across my body. And as I come up, I use my hand and my head on the mat to throw my hips over to the opposite side, landing in scarf hold, okay? You can also stay on this side. When you come up, be careful that the guy doesn't start to set up a darce from the back here, okay? So when I come up, the first thing I'm looking for is to get my other arm involved. And once my other arm is involved, I can lock it up and I push it and I start to attack a straight arm lock. Or I will just take this elbow out and bring it across his body. So now if he starts trying to go for a darce, I can start to use my body as a buffer for him locking it up really tight. Now, one of the most difficult things that you're gonna encounter or deal with is a guy who's piking his hips properly and he's got a wide base. So he's up high, he's got good pressure here and a wide base. So I'm trying to sweep him and nothing happens. For some reason, he's got such a good positioning with his legs that I can't make the sweep happen. The first thing I'm looking to take advantage of is the space under his knees. So if I feel like the guy's super heavy and piking, I take my leg and I scoop under. I'm gonna feed with my knee to my other leg here, boom. Now, I step on the heel and that forces his right knee to stay up. And I'm gonna catch a butterfly hook here. Once I have the butterfly hook, I use my elbow that's against his hip and I'm gonna extend and lift him across my body. I throw my leg over the hip, I elongate my body cross-facing again, and I feed the cross-face from my hand to my knee. And then from here, straight arm lock. If I take the arm out of the equation, I can come up and start to work to a back take. Lastly is a redirect. So I have a guy who's got heavy shoulder pressure, hips are piked, and I go for the harpoon sweep, boom. And I feel like, man, he shut me down. I need to change the direction of force. So I'm gonna go for the sweep, and as the tension is there, I walk closer to him and I bridge more up to the north. And what that does is it changes the direction of force, moves him away from his own base, and rolls him to a point where he has no base.